Hello and welcome to Hello and Welcome with me, Lee. Today I am going to do my first ever makeup tutorial teaching you how to get this look. I call it the black bitch. I love this look so much. When I go out and want to just be outside in makeup, I tend to do something either a little bit like this or a little bit more soft. But today we're gonna learn the black bitch. Let's go. I'm so excited. I've gotten quite a few requests for this particular look from friends and from people who follow me on Instagram and Twitter. So I am going to recreate it. Hopefully not mess it up. If I do, I will be editing it out. So you will have a perfect finish no matter what. The first and most important step in doing your makeup is taking care of your skin. I don't have perfect skin, even though the camera may be fooling you into thinking I have somewhat perfect skin. It is all false and fallacy. In truth, I have pretty large pores and I have some really deep creasing on my forehead, which I will be filling or freezing with Botox or filler the very moment I am capable of doing so. In the meantime, I use a pore filling primer. This one is from Smashbox. I actually thought, since one day I would love to be a lot like Tati, a review bitch, as they're called on YouTube. I'll be reviewing these products as I go along. These are my tried and true right now. These are what I use. So this Smashbox primer is not bad. It's fine. It's a little hit or miss for me when it comes to filling the creasing on my forehead. It fills it all day sometimes. Sometimes I look like craters at the end of the day. It's really just kind of a mixed bag. So it's fine. It gets the job done more times than not, which I suppose is a C+. So a C+ for the Smashbox primer. Once I put it on, I like to set it with powder so that it will somewhat stay in place and will stop my foundation and concealer from sinking into it and becoming lost in its deep crevices. The powder that I'm using is Flower by Beauty Bakery, and this is my favorite setting powder that I've ever used. Works good for me. I actually don't think I have to get used to this because I'm so used to using this mirror that's sitting next to me, but if I do that I will be off. No, that's good. That should be good. I don't need it anymore. So that's done. I love this powder by Beauty Bakery. I just bought another one, and the one that I just put on is translucent, and that's what I use under my skin and over my skin if I bake or anything like that, which I might, don't get your hopes up. I might bake. I use yellow, which I just bought yesterday. So that's done. After that, since I am planning on making a couple of more videos, I am going to set my whole face with setting powder because I haven't looked at the camera once. You're just gonna have to get over it. I'll get there. We'll get there together, you know? You're getting in on the ground floor of something that's gonna be beautiful, and so you're just gonna have to deal with the kinks until we're professional, okay? In the meantime, skincare is one of the most important things in your skin. I didn't put enough powder on. I don't know what I was thinking. Like I just need like a little bit, like a touch of powder, and not like I'm a greasy bitch and a full-on man. These people, man. So before I start doing my makeup, I cleansed and moisturized my skin, my eyes, or I should say my face, my eyes, and my neck. So, you know, you can see all the shine and glisten on my face, my natural highlight, all of that kind of stuff, because my skin is clean and moisturized and ready to go. Now that is done, how do they do this? Jesus, I'm tired. So what I use for my face, since I'm doing face first now, since my eye look is kind of, it's not basic, but it's basic. I use the Anastasia Beverly Hills contour kit. This is the cream contour kit. I don't have the powder contour kit because they are like $40 a piece. Review. It works for me. It's wonderful. The colors are very easy to work with. They blend beautifully. They're not streaky. Very, very wonderful experience to work with this palette. And wow, I fucked up already. I'm not using it first. First thing I'm gonna use is concealer. I have Tarte Shape Tape, but she's getting low, so I kind of conserve her unless I really, really desperately need her. In the meantime, I'm going to use this Makeup Revolution concealer that I got yesterday. I actually used to use it for contour, and I thought I'd try a concealer. I'm a little worried that this might be a little bit too light for me, but if it is, we'll get over it. People say that this is a dupe for the Tarte Shape Tape. I think they're wrong. It's a lot. It's not slightly more watery than the Tarte Shape Tape. It's a lot more watery. It's not as creamy. It's a little watery. It's fine. It's a good concealer, but if you're someone who uses Tarte Shape Tape and you can't afford it this time around and you want to get something different, Makeup Revolution will work for you, but it's not going to be the same experience that you're used to. It's also a little bit more chemically than the Tarte Shape Tape, and the smell and the feel of it, sometimes it can be a little bit much for me. I don't have sensitive skin, but I feel like I have sensitive skin, and I'm a hypochondriac. So if things seem like they're a little too much for me, I will feel as though I'm having a reaction, and I will stress about that. And that's really one of the biggest things, is that a lot of these products, there's really good products. There's some things that I feel like you can't just get whatever you want for the product, but for a lot of products, you can get whatever you want, and you'll be fine. It won't hurt. Concealer is one of them. You don't have to get Tarte Shape Tape. Tarte Shape Tape is better than Makeup Revolution. Nothing's gonna happen to you if you, oh no, this is an okay shade. That's not bad. Sorry. Nothing's gonna happen to you if you get the Makeup Revolution. It's not as good as Tarte Shape Tape, but it's also $7 in comparison to $28. So it's good if you need an alternative, or if you can't afford the Tarte Shape Tape. But it's not the same product. It's not, I mean, for me, a dupe, maybe I'm getting the words wrong, but for me, a dupe is like, you can't tell the difference. Like, the difference is so minor that it's like, you can do either or. In my opinion, that's not the case for the Tarte Shape Tape. Tarte Shape Tape is in a class on its own. Sorry. Now I'm going into that Anastasia Cream Contour Kit. And now I do my contour, sorry, that's so ugly. Let me move this over. I do my cream contour underneath my foundation. As I revealed to you earlier, I am a man. So, in my opinion, some of the techniques that women and some men use on Instagram are not necessarily going to be the best for every male face shape. Me, I am a woman of a certain age, or a man of a certain age, and even though I'm doing really well for someone of my age, not everything that James Charles does is gonna be flattering on me. I'm not the same color as him, I don't have the same skin type as him, I'm not the same age as him, my techniques are going to be different than his. And that doesn't mean that he's better than I am or that I'm better than he is. Definitely not in either case. But it does mean that sometimes our approach to makeup is going to be a little different. What I'm doing right now is I'm highlighting using that same palette. I don't know what the shade names are. It's the one, I have the one that has the pink in it. I think it's light medium I use. Funnily enough, this is the only light medium stuff that I ever have access to. Beautiful. I use light medium, and what I'm digging into right now is the one on the top left. And I use that for highlight. It's pretty necessary because there's a lot of dark and a lot of black that I'm wearing. So highlighting my face and really giving my face dimension will keep me from looking like a piece of coal. I do not naturally look like a piece of coal. So I prefer to avoid taking lordship over a culture that I do not belong to. Now I'm going to contour. And I'm going to dig into the bottom right shade, which is the very darkest shade in that same palette. And I'm going to really load up my brush until it is pretty dark. And then the way that I do it is I look at the side of my head, right at the top of my ear where my sideburns are thinnest. And then I sort of angle downwards to my cheek. I know you're supposed to do like 2 shades darker or whatever like that. I do what I want. I'm an artiste. I do what I want. My forehead contour is going to be very understated. I'll come back with my so I got my new powder. I can come back in and cut that up a little bit and make it a little bit more different. So now I'm going to contour my nose. You'll see it better on the other side, but I just draw 2 lines. Right now, I'm going to be doing blending later, so for right now, I'm not like about to fall to pieces because my line isn't totally straight or seems too thick or I'm being a little too over dramatic with it. It's fine. This nose contour right now is totally fine. Now what I do at this point, I'm ready to blend now. I could blend right now if I wanted to, but what I like to do is I like to sit back, relax, get my little mirror and just kind of look at my face, or I can look at my face in my mirror that I have sitting right here and just kind of look and see what do I need and what do I not need. And I'm going to take both shades and kind of extend it up just a little bit, just to give myself just a beautiful little setting sun right there in my forehead. And as I'm looking at it, I'm imagining how it will look sunk in and how it will glow through my foundation. Okay, now I'm going to take my little Marc Jacobs brush, which I love so much. I got it at Marshall's. It was $10 on sale, and I think this is it's the Seamless number 4 by Marc Jacobs, and I think this is, it's a really cute, dense little brush, and I like it a lot. And I use this brush to blend just my highlight and my concealer together. I can just blend these edges together, avoiding my contour at all costs. What we don't want to do is accidentally spread that contour into our highlight. This is so tough. I'm so sorry if I'm covering myself. If I'm covering myself, tweet me and tell me that I'm doing a horrible job. So now let's blend the contour. And what I do is I take the same Marc Jacobs brush, this is the side I use, and I just flip it over and I use this side. And I just go right to the edges of my contour and I just start patting those together. Just sort of a blending from light to dark. And I come over to the other side and I do the same. And just take your time. Doing makeup is not a race. Try to schedule some time for yourself so that you can really put your best foot forward when you go out. Okay, so contour your nose. I'm gonna turn this way so I can see myself in the monitor. You can see how that line is, and it's just a thick brown line right there on your nose. What you want to do is you want to take your brush on the side that you were blending the highlight and just lay it on where you do your highlight, and you pull it forward. You pull it up. Don't disturb that highlight. You're gonna go to your other side, lay that down, and start blending that up too. This is how I do my nose contour. If it doesn't work for you, if it makes you look too muddy, if you don't like it, if it doesn't make you feel comfortable, and if it doesn't spark joy, don't do it this way. Do it whatever way works for you. Try a lot of different ways like I did until you find one that works for you. And you just work it until you have that nice, and you can go over it as many times as you need to until it looks the way you want it to look, and until you have the shape of your nose that you want. Just remembering that all of this that you're doing is going to be lessened and brought forward by your foundation, which is what I'm going to go into next. I also use the Makeup Revolution foundation. I want to try Born This Way, but they say that it has coconut water or coconut milk or something in it, and I am allergic to coconut, so I should really just go into Ulta and do like a little skin test, see what happens. Maybe I'll do that and I'll let you know if I had an allergic reaction or not. Now, for me, I have really deep creasing in my forehead, which is why you saw me when I put on primer, I only put it on up there. What I also do is when I do my foundation differently, depending on the part of the face that I'm doing. So I'm just using my little doe foot applicator and getting a good amount, and I go ahead and I just put that on the back of my hand. And then what I take is my Morphe eye primer, or eyelid primer. I don't like this on my eyelids, it slides around everywhere, so I'm not a fan of it. I am a fan of the Makeup Revolution foundation. I think it works really well for my skin. It says that it's full coverage. I don't see it. I don't know who they're thinking of it being full coverage for. It's certainly not full coverage on me. I guess unless I just like act a fool and like just kind of like slather my whole body in it, maybe then. And I just take any brush, and I have that eye primer and that foundation, and I just mix them together. And it gives me sort of like a foundation, a primer foundation. Then I go ahead and I take, this is a Morphe 406 foundation brush, buffing brush I guess you would say, and I just take a little, don't take too much, be very careful, just that much, that's all I took, right? Then I go on my forehead. And this is the motion that I use, I hope you can see it. I'm gonna turn this way, and that's what I do. And I just be gentle. That's the biggest thing, is just be careful and be gentle. Let me get my mirror so I can see what I'm doing. And I just flick it. Just get that product off your brush onto your head, and then just move it. Little by little, take your time. You have all the time in the world. And I stop every few motions, and just look and see if I'm happy with what's happening. And I try to use up all of this little bit of foundation right here on my forehead. I'm happy with that. I like that. Once I do that, immediately I go back into my, I almost said Cream of Nature, my Beauty Bakery powder. And I just take this little crusty dusty powder puff. If I was doing it on someone else, I would use a clean one. But for me, I like it a little bit dirty. I like it to have a little bit of old stuff in it. I just press that powder in immediately and set it until it is just so pure and so perfect up there. And it is. It's like paper. I love it. I can't get enough of this shit. I love it. Okay. Now, I still have some excess there. That's fine. I'm gonna add a little more. I'm just taking a little bit onto my brush and just swirling it until I feel like it's well coated. And then close my eye and I just go right over my eye, honestly. And I'm just still using that flicking motion where I'm sort of pushing the product into the skin and then flicking it to the side so that it can blend. So it's kind of a apply and blend, apply, blend, apply, blend, apply, blend until I'm happy. And as I move, as I turn my head, you can kind of see where my highlight was, where my contour was, where everything was. And it's just sort of mixing together and kind of giving you this sort of natural coloring to your skin. Now I'm gonna do a little bit on my neck. Never forget your neck. I don't match, when I match my foundation, I don't match to my neck. Anyone telling that you have to match to your neck, that you have to match to your chest, to your hands, I don't trust that at all. Because makeup, it's a very personal experience. I mean, I tried one time to match my foundation to my neck rather than where I match it now, which is often to my chest or to my hands. And I looked like I was, one, wearing a mask, and two, that I was wearing a mask of blackface because my neck is so much darker. You can't tell on camera even before I put the foundation on, but my neck is so much darker than my face. It looked horrible. It was like at least 3 shades darker than my natural skin tone that you saw before I put on any makeup. It was not cute. I did not look cute. I did not feel cute. I never did that again. That was over. Like I said, makeup's a personal experience. You do what works for you when it works. So, for lights, for stage, you take your powder puff and you beat that face until it's set. For me, when I beat like this, I try not to pull or move my hand. I try to go straight on, straight off, on, off, on, off. Now, when you put this on, you may look and you may feel a little bit casket ready, which is good. That's a good thing. Don't feel bad about that. That's why we have powders. I'll talk a little bit about race and makeup in a second when I do my powder contour, because for black people, powder contour is a hope and a prayer. I'm using MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in dark, and this is under, which is so funny, under my eyes, the lightest place, I use dark. These shade names are funny. To me, this is not dark. This is like a caramel, like a blonde caramel. That's what I would have called it, blonde caramel, not dark. But you get used to it. Being black and wearing makeup, shade names are probably one of the least offensive things that you are likely to encounter. I start using powders like this just to bring some more life into my face. The Mineralized Skin Finish has a little touch of a shimmer. It doesn't appear on camera, I don't think, but in person it gives you a little bit more of a living glow. I have a bronzer that I use. This is Morphe Bronzer in the shade Showmance. It's their darkest shade. It works okay for me. I got lucky. My skin is dark, but it's not super dark. So I tend to get somewhat lucky when I go to get products. Typically, the darkest shade in a product will work for me, which makes me very lucky because lots of black people do not have that luck. There's like brands, I like going to a brand and realizing that they don't sell to you. Like they're not interested in your business. It's so disheartening. But I'll get to that when it comes to me in a second. First thing I'm going to do is take, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see anything. Okay. This is a little brush that came with my Smashbox contour kit. But I use this and I just take a little bit of the bronzer. That's actually too much. I just go right over where I did my contour, and I just sort of swirl it down. That starts to bring some life back into your face, which is fine. For this look, I don't want to use too much bronzer because it's a dark look. You know, it's not sweet peachy. So I do put bronzer just to look alive because that's nice. Now, because of this look, I do like to deepen the contour a bit. So I just come in here and I just look for, I think I'll use a Morphe 433, which is the brush that James Charles and a lot of these other beauty gurus use on their eyes. I never use this on my eyes. That's something that you need to keep in mind too when you're doing your makeup, is that when you watch these beauty gurus tell you what to put on your eyes, what brushes to use and stuff like that, think about your eyes first before you think of their eyes. Because what works on them may not work on you. And I went out there and I bought all of these 433 brushes so I could do eye looks, and I had eyeshadow all up and through my eyebrows, everywhere, because these brushes are too big for me. I use smaller brushes for my eyes because I don't have the space to use a 433. This is how I contour, which this is the thing that you do when you're black in beauty, is you do stuff like this. This is the Jaclyn Hill palette. I love this palette. It's one of the best eyeshadow palettes that were ever invented. If you do natural looks a lot, get you the Jaclyn Hill palette and get like Soft Glam from Anastasia. You're done. That's it. You don't have to buy anything else. Soft Glam has all of the shades of like neutral colors that you need, and Jaclyn Hill has the shade Beam, which is Tana Mojo pointed this out, which is this shade, the second white shade. You put that in the inner corner of your eye, you'll look like you're about to get married every time. It's genius. I don't know where she got that from, but it's genius. So what I go into is this color called Central Park. It's called Central Park, and it's the brown. Girl, it's this one. No, that one. That's Central Park. And I take that and I use it for contour. And I dip into it. This palette is super pigmented. So whenever you dip into something, you're gonna need to wipe it off on the inside of your wrist just so you don't have too much. Once I do that, I get a mirror. Always get a mirror, a little hand mirror, so you can see what you're doing. And I just stamp it. I don't know if you can see it where I pressed it up there, but I can. So I'm gonna take a little bit more. Wipe off the excess. And I'm just gonna dot it up there again. A little bit more, right? Cool. Now I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna grab a slightly bigger contour brush. This is from B4Y. I got these brushes a long time ago when I was like, I'm gonna do makeup, and then never really did much with them, and they just kind of sat there. And this is called Angled Blush. And then I just go and I start blending it downward. I'm sure you can start seeing that popping up. I'm gonna go on the other side. Then I just use it to deepen that contour using this angled brush to blend it out really, really well until you start to have this beautiful sort of cut look. I'm happy with that. Now, nose. I do add a little bit, just a little bit. Like don't get crazy with this. This is my go-to. This is what I use for a lot. For when I'm packing and placing shadows, like especially if I'm doing a very colorful look, I use these for that. This is the Morphe M321. It's a cheap pencil, works fine, just fine. So what I do is I dip just a few times into that. Dust off the excess. You don't want too much. It's so easy to go overboard with these dark shades. So you always want to be so careful, and it's better to put nothing on your nose or nothing on your eyes than it is to put too much. Okay, so I go in, look in my mirror, angle my brush right there. I know where I placed it before, and I just, first thing I do is just draw a dot line down and up and down and up and down and up and down. Now, that product is on there, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this and make sure that I've wiped all the excess off, so that there's nothing on there, and then I'm going to go through with this, I don't know if you can see it, with this, and blend and blend and blend and blend and blend and blend. Same thing on the other side. Yeah, it looks good. Highlights. I use, unless I'm going for something that's very dramatic, I use Jeffree Star for my highlight. This is King Tut. Beautiful shade. I've been looking in this mirror the whole time because the mirrors are huge. The mirrors are absolutely massive. It's ridiculous. You can see your entire face in the mirror, and you can do whatever you want. I don't wet my brush all the time when I do highlight. So what I do is I look, when I do my highlight, I look at my eye. I already know where all my stuff is, but right underneath my eye goes in right here, and then right underneath it, because I'm overweight, I can't just look and see exactly where my cheekbone is. I have to approximate it based on the dimensions of my face. So I go like that. You can kind of see where your cheekbone might be, which is mine is right here. And so that's where I apply my highlighter to accentuate, and it's like right underneath my eye. And you can also do it if you moisturize really well. You can also be able to see where your natural highlight is, and that's where you want to put your highlighter. And I also put it, I do kind of a Mitchell thing, and I put it right over the inside of my eyebrow, especially on this one. And when you do it this way, it gives you a little tiny ghost of a frown when you're sitting there, which really just accentuates the entire bitchiness of the look. Sorry, I keep looking over there. That's where my monitor is. I'm trying to make sure that my positioning and my makeup is good. So I'm looking at my monitor more than I'm looking at you, which I'm sure is a little off-putting, but this is my first tutorial, so it'll be fine. See how I do my highlight? I don't do much for this look because I don't necessarily want to look too glowy. I want to look pretty, but I don't want to look too glowy. Now, for my nose, I don't use that brush at all for my nose. I go in with this. This is a Morphe 431. It's like a pointer thingy like that. First thing I do, I just use the tip. Dip that down in there, right? A little bit on the side. Now this is for the bridge of my nose. And I just start right here in between the eyes. And I just draw a line from between my eyes to about halfway through. That's enough, right? That's usually enough. I might blend it a little bit just so that it'll appear a little bit more, but I don't go too far, right? Then I go in again and then get the very, very tip, just a little bit, and then at the very end of my nose, I just sort of place it. Just a little dot. Right? And that's it. That's the end of the highlighter. Jeffree Star highlighters, best I've ever used. Jeffree Star products are very, very, very high quality. His products are all good as far as I'm concerned. I haven't encountered a product yet that left me disappointed. If I do, I will probably be colossally disappointed because I'm used to having a very high level of quality from him, so that when I order his products, I know exactly what I'm gonna get and I know I don't have to worry about it. Which is my biggest thing, because I do not have money like that to be wasting on doing all these different types of makeup. I like good products. I like products that are going to work for what I want to do, and I like to move on. I'm going to do eyes next. For this look, I don't wear blush. Sorry, so no blush. But I am going to do eyes next. First thing I do is I prime the eyes. I always prime the eyes. This is the MAC paint pot in soft ochre. A lot of the beauty gurus on here use Painterly paint pot. I don't use Painterly. It doesn't go good for my skin tone. Keep that in mind, that these products often depend on your skin tone. I'm gonna use Morphe 224 flat brush for this. A lot of these products depend on your skin tone, so if you're looking at a YouTuber or a makeup artist who has a different skin tone than you, you may be able to use the same type of products that they're using, but you need to really think about the color. Soft ochre is good for me because it gives me a lightness without making me ashy on my eyes, so that the colors that I'm using are will show up very beautifully and they'll stick as well. Now when I use this, I don't set it with powder because makeup will not stick as easily. Okay, now I'm gonna do my eyebrows. And for my eyebrows, I'm not gonna do my eyebrows on camera. It's gonna be impossible. I need my mirror, I need my stuff. So I'll do my eyebrows off camera, and then once I'm back, I will let you know kind of what I use and kind of the techniques that I use. I did my eyebrows with the Anastasia Brow Definer pencil, and then I went back over with the Morphe Micro Brow Pencil to deepen it, because the Anastasia is too light for me, but it still works really well. They both work really well. The Anastasia, of course, is the better pencil. It applies more creamy and more easily than the Morphe. The Morphe is a little bit more precise just because I think it's smaller. So I'd like to try the Anastasia Brow Wiz to see if that little smaller thing is as precise as the Morphe one with that higher Anastasia quality. But they're both good pencils. The Morphe one, I believe, is like $6 or $7 or something like that, so it's definitely cheaper. So my eyes are all done, and oh, I carved around it with the color from the cream contour kit. My eyebrows, that is. So now I'm going into the subculture palette. No subculture slander allowed on this channel, or you will be blocked and reported to, you know what, I'm not going to report you to the law enforcement because can't trust them. You're going to find your crease. My crease is right here, and that's where you're going to stamp your product. And once your product is in, then you can start to blend it. Now when I blend, I don't have a ton of eye space, so I don't really have room to play games. So I'm very precise with my blending. I'm very precise with my blending and very deliberate with my blending as well. And I'm just gonna make a little bit of a tail just by flicking my brush back and forth until it just starts to come out. And then once that's done, I look forward. I like to see the shape of my eye, see if I'm going in the right direction or if I need to change anything. I'm good right now. So I'm gonna continue to add a little bit more color to my crease. Now, the subculture palette is a good palette. It's easy to blend, it's easy to work with. For me, and this particular palette that I got, this is a Marshall's palette, and it was gotten fairly recently, so I can't say that the same could be said for the original batches of the palettes that went out. Those were the ones that I see that a lot of people were complaining about. It's possible they might have improved the formula or changed it or did something to make up for that. She's a dusty bitch. I'll say that. She is dusty. But she blends just fine. Okay, both eyes are done. Now, for now, we're done with the Subculture palette. That's all I use from that. Now, this is where things will get a little bit tricky, especially if you are a heavy-handed sort of person. But don't worry about it. I'll help you. We're in this together and we can get through it. I'm going to go into my tried and true, ooh, yes, God, the Morphe James Charles palette. Now, let's open this up. I'm going to go into the shade, the black shade, the pure black shade, which is called Spooky. Now, the James Charles palette is a very, very pigmented palette. Pretty much every shade in there is pretty colored, I guess you would say, pretty colorful, and it really deposits the color very well. So we have to be very careful and very gentle when we're using these colors, and take our time. We have plenty of time to get this done, so you and I are going to work on this until everything is fine. All we have to do is take our time. I'm using a Morphe M321, another one, and we're going to take our time putting that color down and blending it out. And we're going to do it little by little by little until we're exactly where we want to be and not anywhere further than that. Got it? Okay. And I have my palette right here in front of me. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dip into that Spooky. I did 5 dips into it. That's too much. Wipe some of the excess off, and then I'm just going to stamp it right into the corner of my eye and see where we're at. Beautiful. Barely anything. So now I'm going to add a little bit more. Boom. Now you can see it. Okay? Start blending it a little bit, just at the side of that brush and right underneath that purple. Beautiful. Now, just very, very gently start to make a little bit of a point in the corner of that. See? Just to blend it out and to deepen up that purple that we've applied. Right? Continue to blend. We're going to go into the inner corner. We're just going to stamp a little. Boom. Alright? And start blending that back the other way. Now I move pretty quick when I do this. That's because I'm comfortable. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm confident. I know what's expected of me and what I'm expecting from the makeup. So I move pretty quick. But you don't have to. You shouldn't. You should move slow. Like that, you see? And for me, I think I had just about enough product for now. What I'm going to focus on is blending. I'm going to look at myself in this mirror, I'm going to look at myself in the monitor, I'm going to look at myself in this mirror, and just kind of eyeball what I want. The hardest part is just working with the black and not letting the black work you, because she will work you. I think that might be good. Let's scoot over to the other side. We'll put our black down, we'll blend that out, and then we'll see what else we need to do before we start thinking about shiver. Go back into that Spooky. What I do with the black and how I make it work is I lay down the black that I want to blend out so I can get my shape first. And then once I'm done with that, then I'll go back with the pretty heavy hand with the black and then just stamp it where I want it to be even deeper, where I know I'm not gonna blend, or I'm not gonna blend that much. And then I'll go for, like at this point, I'm not even dipping into the palette. I'm just pulling up the excess from my arm and using that to apply more color rather than going into the palette and possibly pulling more than I need. So just all this excess that's on my hand is what I'm using. Now, if you're doing this, you feel like your purple is getting lost. That's okay. Don't worry about that right now. We have plenty of time once we're done to go back and fix things like that. We can come back and deal with that a little later. Like right now, let's do it. I'm gonna grab my Subculture palette, and I'm gonna go and get my other brush that I used that purple with, Rowdy, and I'm gonna pull some Rowdy back out, just a little bit, and look back at my eyes. And it's mostly right here in this middle part that I feel like my purple is gone. Right? Beautiful. I want my outer corner to be a little bit blacker. So I'm gonna get my mirror so I can keep up with what I'm doing. And then I'm going to go with a slightly heavier hand back into that. And I have some darkness on here. I am still gonna pat some off, but now what I want to do is I just want to go right into the inner corner and really just lay it. Now this is gonna be a little bit of a tougher part because I'm gonna do the same in the inner corner, right? Beautiful. Now, back to Subculture. We go in steps in this. We don't try to do everything at once. We go back and forth between the colors that we need. Set down, blend, clean it up, everything. Take your time, be confident. Okay, now we know the lower lash line is going to be Rowdy and black. So we're gonna go on this other side too. We're gonna take that Rowdy. We're gonna start blending it down to that lower lash line, right? You see? I didn't use any sort of liquid with my highlight, but for the shimmer, I am. I'm going to use the Continuous Setting Mist by Morphe. Best setting spray I've ever used. I love it. But what we're gonna go into is we're gonna go back to the Subculture palette and we're gonna go right here into this bronze, dark bronze shade called Adorn. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take that flat brush. A lot of people like to apply shimmers with their fingers. A lot of those people are not 300-pound men like me. I cannot apply shimmers with my fingers. My fingers are significantly larger than my eyelids, so that doesn't work for me, including my pinky. I am a big man. Just sort of give it a little bit of a pop. Now with that same brush, I'm gonna kind of blend it across that lid into the black and let the black kind of commingle with it. I'm gonna go to my other eye. I'm gonna do the same thing. Let's do the lower lash line before we move on. I'm taking just a little tiny, thin Morphe M432. I don't think that they sell this one anymore. Oh no, they don't sell the 410 anymore, which is like this, except it's a little thinner and the bristles are a little bit longer, and I used to use that underneath my eyebrows. They don't sell that one anymore, but they do sell the M432, which is, it's okay. It's not as good as the 410. I like the 410 better. I don't know what happened. I tweeted them about it, they never responded, so they probably just didn't see it. But I do like the 410 better than this one, but it's passable if you have no other choice. I'm just gonna do my lower lash line with that black. And I try to be a little gentle. And I'm not going around the entire eye. I just go about halfway. And I'm gonna go back in. Let's do the other side. Just be confident. Know that you're doing the right thing, and just go about halfway. You might be worried about it looking raccoonish. When you look at it, it won't be. Let's blend that out a little bit. I'm gonna take that brush that I used with that rowdy, and I'm just gonna take a little bit and just buff out the edges of it. I actually might have to do a little bit of cleaning up with some concealer in a second here, because let's do that right now. I'm just gonna take a little M250, just a little tiny, super thin liner brush. And I'm gonna go back into that cream contour, and with my mirror, I'm just gonna draw a little bit of a line around where I want to conceal and to fix, and just use the tip of my finger to blend that edge out. Everything that needs to be covered is covered. Highlight, which is how we're going to liven this look up a little bit so that you don't get the dreaded raccoon eyes. We'll go back to our Jeffree Star King Tut Skin Frost. Take a little bit on this little pencil-ish brush that I have. That is called a detailer brush, and it's from the B4Y company again. We're gonna go right into our inner corner and just place it. And I sort of draw it upward for it to blend into that black. Let's do the same on the other side. Beautiful inner eye crease. Inner corner highlight. I don't know why I say inner eye crease. That, you know, I'm starting to have that like makeup stroke where everything starts sounding the same. And then I'm gonna go underneath, and you know how I drew only halfway into the underwater line with that black. I'm going to take that highlight and I'm gonna fill in the rest of that. Take that highlight and paint it right underneath that eye. Other side, just paint. And go ahead and use some product. Don't be scared. You want it to be bright underneath. Now what I also do is I take that same highlight and I put it right underneath my brow bone. There's a lot of people who discourage men from doing this because it tends to make your brow bone more pronounced, because men do have a more pronounced brow bone. And my response to that is that there's no reason to be ashamed of having a pronounced brow bone, and no reason not to want to add a beautiful glow to it. You shouldn't want to hide your natural features. You should want to fine-tune them and bring the best ones forward. I think this is good. I'm happy with it. Let's do our eyeliner, and let's pray that we don't mess up. I'm not going to do my eyeliner on camera because I will mess up if I try to do it on camera so that you guys can see. I will do my eyeliner and lashes, and then I'll do the lips and we can have a chat. Okay, so my eyes are done. I have my liner, my lashes on. Now all I have left to do is lips. I also added my false freckles. The way that I do my freckles is I go right back into that contour cream palette, and I use the 2 darkest shades in a very thin liner brush, and I just sort of dot them on. I use my mom's freckle pattern as my pattern for my freckles, so my freckles are pretty much identical to hers when I add them on, which gives it a natural look, and it's also hereditary chic. Okay, now let me do the lips, and then once the lips are done, we will be done. Good job. I'm using the shade Protector from Maybelline Superstay Matte Ink. I don't have a black lipstick, but if I did, that's what I'd be wearing. I do overline my lips, but not very much. And when I do, when I overline my lips, I tend to only overline them at the Cupid's bow, and then bring it back to the natural place. As I finish the outside of the lip, and it gives you the appearance of having a thicker lip without it looking comical or like too fake. A little bit more, just to darken it up. This shade is pretty dark in person. It's a very dark brown in person, but on the camera it does not read so dark. That's it. That's the finished look. I hope you had fun with me today. I certainly had fun. I learned a lot. I hope you did too. If you have any questions or you want to talk about makeup or anything like that, leave a comment below. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you again soon.